So Summer Walker was not nominated. Summer Walker released her second album. It was highly anticipated. It did very well. It's a good album.
Yep.
And it has great features. And I would like to play a segment of the Joe Budden podcast.
Okay.
Because Summer Walker's manager, Justin, not Justin LeBoy.
Justice.
Sorry, Justice. My bad.
Not Justin LeBoy.
I said not Justin LeBoy.
I know. That's what
I want them to be like, oh, that's who that is?
That nigga.
That guy? With all the memes and shit? Anyway. So they called Justice, Summer Walker's manager, on the Joe Budden podcast, and they had a very interesting phone call in which he speaks about the way the Grammys work and the way you get nominated for a Grammy.
Okay.
And I think that it is really, really interesting and information that more people should have.
All right.
And I hope Joe Budden does not make us take this down.
Tell me what's happening. Y'all not playing the Grammy game?
No, Joe. That's what makes it even crazier this time, is because we actually did. We actually did. I had to go perform.
To their fulfillment.
I had to go perform for the chapter while she was pregnant, bro. Full pregnant.
Yeah, I'd be hot.
For free. Summer doesn't like to perform.
I know. Yeah, that's the game you gotta play.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's for next year.
No, that was for this year.
Y'all would still be eligible next year or no?
No, because it's a year increment. So over it, still over it, we'll submit it for this year. Because we dropped late last year. So this year we had to play the game, because obviously we dropped late last year, so we had to play the game. I had to go perform in LA, had to perform in Atlanta. I had to do all else.
So then what do you think it is, honestly? Because it's not the music.
It's not the music. I think it's just all right, so here's my theory. I'm a conspiracy theorist, right? I'm just my thing is just I feel like the progressive women in R&B message agenda is not aligning with, the traditional message that they're used to, pushing forward. Because again, it's just there's no other way for it to make sense. It's just you want the numbers, cool. You want the cultural impact, cool. You want the streets, cool. You want the actual musicality, cool. You know what I'm saying? I did everything.
And Summer should have got some type of nomination. Yeah, I'm in full agreement with anything. I mean, y'all had SZA remixed with Cardi, sped up album, 2 albums in a row now. How many noms did y'all get for the first one?
Bro, we got snubbed the first one. That's why I said I was cool. I'm the first one, all right, cool. She's new to the game. Y'all didn't know her. Y'all didn't expect it. Cool, I'm going to chalk it. We didn't play no games. Cool. Then after that snub, you know what I'm saying, we get on the phone with Harvey. You know what I'm saying? Yo, nigga, this is crazy. He's like, nah, I feel you. You know what I'm saying? It's about voting. It's about being involved. So what I do?
That's the line.
Cool.
So
what I do? I'm all right, cool. I'm going to be involved. I went and go ahead and submitted to be a part of the Grammy chapter, spending my days, my time, right? Running Summer around, doing that shit. The same shit. So I'm all right, it's cap.
You can't be discouraged. You got to do that again next year. Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like you don't have a choice yet. That's what it sounds like. If that matters to you. It should matter to Summer. She's that new of an artist with that greater music. That's the push that she needs to get into double platinum world.
Exactly. Because what people don't understand, for me, obviously Grammys is important, but people don't understand it's just from a exposure perspective, it changes everything, right?
And that's why we still have to care.
How brands look at you, how everybody looks at you changes so much.
Just saying Grammy nominated, put that in front of your names. It's like a blue check.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Times 100, yeah, like a blue check. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
you're introduced as Grammy nominated.
Why does the Grammy validation matter to you? I'm it's a part of the institutional business of music. So to ignore that is just being ignorant, but also just also chasing your tail is also like, come on, like, am I just gonna keep doing this?
It sounds like they trying to put it on like almost like, yo, this is you paying your dues type of shit. Like, you got to do this, like you said, next year, and you got to play the game for a minute. Reading the names, I'm gonna just be totally frank with you, buddy. Reading the names, I mean, you keeping it safe with the one space thing, but it sounds like they have an image and likeness that they want affiliated with their award. True. And I think maybe some of the transparency and exposure from Summer may hinder her and make people not pay so much attention to the phenomenal music. Because that's 2 albums in a row where it's just like, you have to be looking at something else when it comes to this young lady.
I completely agree.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of shucking and jiving. A lot of
young Shimmy.
Listen, you gotta
young Shimmy.
You gotta do a lot of dancing.
Wait, but would you be young Shimmy or little Shimmy?
I would not be little Shimmy. As a matter of fact, just call me Shimmy Shimmy Ya.
That's it.
That's it.
Dashing D, aka
Shimmy Shimmy Ya.
There it is.
Rest in peace, ODB.
That's right.
So, it sucks. Let me tell you what sucks. Summer should have been nominated. I agree.
Yep.
What sucks is that I don't want to take away anything from Beyonce, but I think we have to have the Beyonce conversation in order to have the Summer conversation. Maybe you disagree. I don't know. If Beyonce is going to be, or like Doja Cat, we could say Beyonce and Doja Cat. I think those are the two that, and honestly, I don't really want to say Doja Cat because I feel like Doja Cat creates music that does fall in multiple categories. I feel like Beyonce's album was created in a specific category, yet Beyonce is in every single R&B or dance related category for the Grammys.
Yes.
And then someone like Summer Walker, who is truly R&B,
yes,
doesn't get nominated. There's only 4 people to a category. It's unfair. And we've talked about this before, but it's unfair. And Beehive come for me, but it's unfair for Beyonce to be in every fucking category. And then someone like Summer Walker, who has the numbers to show for it, who has the talent to show for it, put in her effort to be considered, and then they just don't even give her one nod.
Yeah.
It's unfair. You could have not included Beyonce in the R&B performance album or whatever the one was or whatever the two were. You could have not put her in there considering she's nominated for Dance Album of the Year as well.
I mean, she's nominated for Mad Shit.
And Summer would have been able to be nominated. It's kind of like when we talked about Jasmine Sullivan a while back. I don't remember what award show it was we were talking about specifically, but I remember saying like
she got a split win.
Yeah, and I don't get that. Like, we know who's at the tippy top. We know who's gonna get awards regardless of what. But it's got to be more equitable for the little fish. And Summer Walker isn't by no means a little fish. It's just that when you put her next to Beyonce,
yeah. I mean, listen, when you put anyone next to Beyonce,
right?
They're the smaller fish.
I mean, except for her husband with the same amount of nominations. I mean, it has to be said, but
you're right.
I don't I don't want it to seem like I'm hating on one, to prop up the other. I think that everybody is deserving, and there was a way to make that equitable. I don't know. It's frustrating. And she doesn't even like to perform. Summer doesn't like to perform. So the fact that she was willing to go and perform for the Grammy committee.
Fully pregnant.
It
speaks volumes.
Yeah.
So real quick, before we dive too deep, so that was just clips of the phone call between Justice and the Joe Budden podcast.
Mm.
This is not an ad, but if you want to hear the full conversation, you can go over there. The episode is called "I'll Be is from the Shore," or "I'll Be from the Shore," some shit like that. Anyway,
Of course it was.
well, that's what they
No.
called.
We don't even.
No, you're gonna be upset.
Oh, what?
That's what they called Namor.
All right.
Yeah.
And because we can't talk about Wakanda forever, we'll just move on.
Yeah.
Let's just.
So the reason I wanted to play that, is because I think it's really interesting that we got to hear some of the inner workings of the Grammys.
Mm-hmm.
It's very rare that we're able to do that, and there's always talks of what has to happen, what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But here you're hearing firsthand
Mm-hmm.
what someone had to go through for their artist to be considered, not even nominated.
Yeah.
And it goes to show that in this day and age, having the talent is not enough. Having the numbers is not enough, which goes back to the Nicki Minaj snub, this, whatever you want to call it. It shows that, unfortunately, there's a lot more than music when it comes to being considered for these awards. And that's what I thought was so interesting about it. It's easy to sit up here and just say, man, Summer Walker should have been nominated. But when you get these details, I think it paints a much clearer picture. And that's why I wanted to play it. I think that it's really messed up. And I think that it is really hard for artists in 2022. Your music is no longer purchased. I mean, if it is, it's super fans, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
Touring is becoming harder and harder for even big acts, hence the whole Taylor Swift Ticketmaster thing. And, you get paid next to nothing for streaming. So it really is just challenging to be an artist in this day and age. And I think it's really fucked up that they're making people go through all of these things just to be nominated. And you still are not guaranteed a nomination. I mean, for Justice to say that he applied to become part of that chapter of the Grammys
just so his artist
committee
could be considered
is wild.
And then still having to have her, even after that, still having to have her go and perform for them multiple times.
It's really sad. And it's crazy because, and that's why, again, I wanted to play it, because you hear them saying, this is the difference maker. This is what puts you in a certain pay grade or a tax bracket, same thing. This is what puts you, this makes the difference from platinum to double platinum. And it just does so much for an artist's career. But look what they do to make you, quote unquote, earn it.
Right.
It's crazy.
It sucks.
And I think it's really fucked up.
It's very fucked up.
It's very discouraging. I think it's frustrating. And I think that, honestly, to me, it's more of a reason why we should say fuck these awards and these platforms. But I also understand that it's not that simple, because the labels are tied into it as well, which is why you see the same names all the time, like a Doja Cat. Not taking away from Doja Cat, who's super talented, but she's a quote-unquote label darling, which also makes her a quote-unquote award show darling, as they're saying now. And so this is what happens. It's really fucked up, but so many things surrounding the business side of music are intertwined and deeply woven into weird political relationships. Because if your label is not cool with the Grammys, if you're not cool with your label, if your manager is not willing to do certain things, there are just so many things that the artist has no control over. And I think it's really fucked up that artists have to go through this. So I get it. I mean, you can have someone as big as Drake or Prince back in the days saying like, man, this shit don't matter. Fuck this shit. But to get to that pinnacle today, to become a Prince, to become a Drake, you kind of need to do certain things.
It's also easy for those people to say because their managers are not having to join the Grammy committee. They are not having to go and perform for, like, Beyonce doesn't have to do that. Beyonce just had to make her album and exist.
Right.
So, like...
Well, that's why I'm saying
you
Beyonce
know,
hasn't spoken out and said, fuck the Grammys. Drake kind of did at one point.
No, but even Drake.
Prince, yeah. But
how much work you think Drake got to do?
Today, none.
To get a Grammy.
But for an artist who just put out their sophomore album, it's a different game.
Of course, yeah. And it sucks. I'm sorry that, you know... Especially because I know she's very angsty. She's not really, like, she don't be wanting to shuck and jive. That's not really her vibe. She's not into any of that. So the fact that she even agreed to participate in the pomp and circumstance of that is sucks. But
yeah.